How many eggs does Emmanuel Macron have for breakfast? 1, that's a nerf. That's a genuine laugh.
I had to dig deep into my schoolboy French, but then I got it.
The AI fix a digital zoo. Smart machines, what will they do? Flies to Mars or bake a bad cake? World domination, a silly mistake. Bots with brains.
Hello and welcome to episode 76 of the AI Fix, your weekly dive headfirst into the bizarre and sometimes mind-boggling world of artificial intelligence. My name's Mark Stockley.
And I'm Cluley. Now, Mark, what are you going to be talking about today?
I'm going to be asking whether AIs are conscious.
And I'm going to be asking if AI can ever be truly funny.
Again? You're determined to keep asking that question, aren't you? But first, the news.
More AI gaffes in the courtroom.
The robot sheds its skin to prove it's not human.
Robot chair walks, climbs, and folds itself.
Chips in space.
Robot dogs are burying nuclear waste. Now, Mark, in past episodes, we've talked about lawyers being caught using AI. Oh dear. It's been citing legal precedents in cases that were entirely the outpouring of a ChatGPT fever dream. It just kept on making up stuff, which isn't very good for the legal system, is it?
It's not great.
No, it's not great. And then when they're caught out, sometimes the judges say, well, you really must apologise for this bad behaviour. And then they're caught using AI even when writing the apology. Well, the good news is things have moved on, because this week, 2 US federal judges have themselves been caught with their pants down, because it turns out they've been using AI as well when making their judgments.
I think we can all see what direction this is travelling in at speed.
So Judge Julianne Niels of New Jersey and Judge Henry Wingate of Mississippi both confessed in letters to Congress that, yes, AI had slipped into the legal process and left behind a slightly sloppy trail of imaginary case law and made-up quotations in their rulings. In one case, a ruling was peppered with references to cases that didn't exist, not obscure, not hard to find, but actual fictional, non-existent cases. And the worrying thing is, Mark, that to us seems completely normal now. That seems like, well, what else would you expect?
3 years we've been living in this world. Just 3 years, Graham.
Yeah, exactly.
At this point, what are the judges and lawyers doing other than just typing things into ChatGPT that other ChatGPTs have asked them to type into ChatGPT?
In the case of Judge Henry Wingate of Mississippi, the Perplexity AI tool was used to draft an order only for it to somehow invent new parties, new allegations and quotes that had absolutely nothing to do with the actual case. And no one spotted this. So here we are.
Somebody did.
Well, eventually somebody did. But
I assume that was an AI as well.
Yes, not the judge, clearly. But we are living in a world where AI attorneys are arguing cases in front of AI judges with, in some cases, as we know from past episodes, the AI-generated deep-faked avatars of dead people sharing their opinions from beyond the grave. So I'm wondering, why have anyone human involved in the courtroom at all? Why don't we just leave it all to an algorithm?
How long do you think it'll be before we actually see AI algorithms in the dock, being accused of things by other AIs and being judged by AIs?
And this is just the judging. This isn't the punishment. Just wait until AI gets involved in the punishment of offenders as well. Let's streamline the entire process, shall we?
I've seen that film. So Chinese EV maker XPeng has debuted its iron robot. And Graham, I just want you to see this and give me your first impressions.
Okay. So there appears to be a video of someone wearing a leotard. It's clearly a human in a leotard walking around.
It's an anatomically correct female avatar, isn't it? I think it's the best way I could describe that.
She appears to be wearing underwear as well, which I don't think is essential for a real robot. So is this some kind of investment drive where they didn't manage to actually get a real... Oh, hang on, there's some people coming onto the stage and they're going to cut off her leotard. They've got some scissors. They're cutting up her leg. Okay, so this is some kind of performance art, is it? and it looks like she has a metal leg underneath the leotard. Oh, okay. So, right, Mark, is this
is a real robot, Graham?
Well, is it a real robot? What they've done, they've revealed a robotic artificial leg, right? But they haven't uncovered the rest of her, at least not this part.
For those who haven't seen the video, so the robot / human walks onto the stage, and then having walked on the stage, they immediately cut through its skin to reveal a very, very slim metal structure underneath, which is far, far too thin for a human to get their leg into. So this is either a person in a wetsuit with an artificial left leg, or this is a robot. And they then repeat the exercise with the robot's back.
Right.
So they're trying very hard to show you that this is a real robot. And if this is real, it is the scariest robot we have ever seen because it moves exactly like a person.
Yes.
And the question I think this robot raises more than anything else, is this actually what we want? Do we want robots that look this human and move in a way that is so close to being human? And I don't think we do. I think this is thoroughly, thoroughly creepy.
Yes. There's no requirement for this at all. What we want are little robots like R2-D2.
Yeah.
You know, sort of scurrying around. I'm not sure this is a robot. Now, in more robot news, the boffins at Toyota have invented a robotic chair, Mark.
Oh, I've seen this.
Yes. It's called the Walk Me. And the idea, for anyone who hasn't seen it, is for people who struggle to walk long distances. So you sit on it and it automatically will follow a route, or if you're going somewhere with someone, it'll walk along with them, avoiding obstacles as it shuffles along. It reminds me of a crab. That's the closest thing I can think of. It's quite weird the way it sort of unfolds itself and moves along, isn't it?
Okay, it's absolutely terrifying, Graham. It's a chair that walks for people who are fine with massive spiders, basically. If you're okay with the idea of a spider the size of a moped, you're going to love this.
We've just been complaining about robots which look too much like humans. This one looks too much like a crab. So I don't want a robot which scurries along. And I'd much rather have the human one now. So this thing, it doesn't have wheels. It has legs. And it is like a spider with 4 legs. So half a spider or a crab or something like that. It is one of the creepiest things I've seen from the world of AI in, I don't know, at least hours. And apparently it can also move autonomously.
Oh, good. So in further proof that the world of AI, Wednesday's science fiction is Thursday's old news, Google has announced AI chips in space.
Oh.
So a few weeks ago, we heard from Jeff Bezos. He was talking big ideas and, solar-powered AI data centers in space in 20 years. And everybody in the audience went, oh, he's so science fiction and living in the future. And Google has just announced, yeah, we're doing that. So the idea is that it's going to soak up all that lovely, lovely solar energy that's in space. So apparently solar panels are like 8 times more effective in space because they don't have to deal with things like clouds and weather and nighttime and things like that.
Yes.
And Google wants to put together clusters of small satellites which all talk to each other over optical links. And they all sort of fly in formation around the Earth in orbit. And they make up a sort of distributed data center spinning out in space, getting bombarded with radiation and not being able to cool down because of it. And this presents some significant challenges because it's actually very hard to cool things. Even though space is very, very cold, because it's a vacuum, you can only shed heat by radiation. You can't convect heat away in the way that you do on Earth with gases and water and things like that. Anyway, it's putting 2 prototype satellites in orbit. By early 2027, it says it's going to validate the concept, and then it reckons orbital data centers will be economically competitive with ground-based data centers by the mid-2030s. So take that, Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos, of course, of Amazon fame. We just recently saw AWS have a bit of a problem, didn't we? And it brought down all kinds of systems. And obviously, if people are reliant upon these data centers, these AI data centers in space, I'm just wondering, how's someone going to get up there to reboot them? How are they going to press Control-Delete if they're on Earth?
See, language is so important when we're talking about AI. Because you said, a few weeks ago, that all their data centers went down. And of course, if they're on the ground, there is only so far they can literally go down. I mean, they can go down metaphorically in that they're unavailable. But if your data center is in space, it can actually go down several hundred kilometers. And I think that is what we should be worrying about.
Yeah,
yes.
That's a worry. Now, Sellafield, a gorgeous holiday destination and, of course, Britain's nuclear dustbin, has decided that the best way to deal with its mountains of radioactive waste is to train a robot dog to bury it. Now, as many folks will know, Sellafield is the site formerly known as Windscale. They've got an awful lot of contaminated nuclear waste there.
Yeah. Why did they change the name from Windscale to Sellafield?
Yes. Funny that, isn't it? It's interesting. Why would they have done that? Anyway, so the most dangerous waste at Sellafield is being retrieved, stored, and the plan is to eventually bury it deep underground because it will remain slightly nasty and unpleasant for about 100,000 years. Britain and other nuclear nations, they've decided that the only solution to this waste is permanent burial. It's a bit like brushing it under the carpet, really, and hoping nobody notices that great big lump in the middle of your living room. I suppose that, their plans to sort of dump it on the moon well, that caused a problem, didn't it? September 13th, 1999. Now, funnily enough, there aren't many human volunteers to do this clean-up work at Sellafield, and so what they've done instead is they've got some Boston Dynamics robot dogs called Spot.
Yep.
They're painted a particularly glowing shade of yellow, which I imagine will help them fit into the environment without causing to... And they're taking a break from dancing on TikTok to help move chunks of nuclear debris instead. Now, there is an issue with this because radiation, not great for electronics. In many cases, electronics can actually get fried.
Yes. Don't they themselves become part of the nuclear waste after they're done shoveling it around?
Yeah. So Fukushima, of course, which was the site of another nuclear problem, They tried something similar a decade ago, and half of the robots died horrible, expensive deaths. So poor old Spot, the robot dog, is probably not going to last that long either. But there you go. Let's just hope the dogs bury the waste like they'd bury a bone.
What, in your garden?
Well, no. I'm just worried they may think it's a game of fetch and one day decide, we'll dig that out again. We'll bring it back to you. So, Mark, earlier this year, Salman Rushdie was at the Hay Festival.
Oh, I love the Hay Festival.
Yeah, it's a great literature festival, which happens, it's in Wales, isn't it, Hay, I think?
It is. Hay-on-Wye in Wales. It's a sleepy little town with lots of bookshops. Mm. And once a year, it sort of turns into the nerd version of a rave.
Lots of quinoa being eaten.
Lot of literal container ships worth of quinoa. Basically, anyone who's written a book turns up in Hay-on-Wye, and there's a sort of tent village connected by boardwalks. And you can go and listen to very, very interesting and erudite people talking about fascinating subjects all day.
Well, one of those people this year was Salman Rushdie, and he was asked a question about AI. Now, author Salman Rushdie, for anyone who doesn't know, he spent a lot of time sleeping on his friends' sofas in the 1990s after the Ayatollah gave his book a 1-star Amazon review. And he was asked, is AI a threat to literature?
And he said, hang on.
Let me tell you about threats. His view was it wasn't until AI can write a book that can make people laugh.
Hang on, I haven't read any books by Salman Rushdie. Although I know he's an author, I've never heard anybody mention that they laughed because of one of his books.
Well, that's what I wondered about. I thought, Salman Rushdie, is he funny? I mean, who's he sort of throwing shade at AI for not being that funny? But then I heard him talk about how his kids were teased at school, and apparently his kids were being told they were the son of Satan. And Salman Rushdie said to his kids that that was inaccurate. He said the correct term is spawn of Satan. Tumbleweed. He thought it was funny. Anyway, Rushdie, who has admitted he's never tried AI.
I think we all discovered that from the previous joke.
He said that he likes to pretend it doesn't exist. He said AI has no sense of humour. You don't want to hear a joke told by ChatGPT. If there's a moment when there's a funny book written by ChatGPT, I think we're all screwed.
So I think we've also learned that he's not a listener to the AI fix.
Right.
Not just because he's not into AI, but if he had listened to the AI fix, he would know that AI is well capable of writing middling jokes?
Well, yes, because we delved into this topic way back in episode 8 in mid-2024. We discussed a study that claimed AI was actually funnier than humans. I shared my very funny conceptual joke, if you remember, Mark, about the dog which couldn't spell.
Those of us who were there will never forget, Graham.
But time has moved on.
Yep.
And so has AI enormously. I think we'd agree, right? Over the last couple of years, AI has moved extraordinarily amount.
Yeah.
But the question is, has it become funnier? Should Salman Rushdie and other authors be worried? Well, since mid-2024, when I shared that brilliant joke, researchers have published a paper called From Punchlines to Predictions, a Metric to Assess LLM Performance in Identifying Humour in Stand-Up Comedy. I mean, it sounds like a complete laugh a minute, this paper, I have to say.
Was it produced by a university in Germany, by any chance?
They took transcripts from stand-up comedy shows, just the written words, no video or audio, and they asked AI systems like ChatGPT and Claude and DeepSeek, as well as regular humans, to read the transcripts and pick out which lines were supposed to be funny or which parts were the punchlines. Because there's nothing quite like analysing a joke, is there?
It's literally nothing less funny than analysing a joke.
And what they found was that the AI systems got it right 51% of the time, so slightly better than flipping a coin.
Yeah.
Whereas humans only identified the punchlines and what was meant to be funny 41% of the time. So no one was actually very good at identifying the jokes. And what you found...
Hang on, we're laying a lot of blame on the AIs and the humans here. Surely the common factor is the comedians.
Well, we were assured that these were genuine professional stand-up comedy shows. So you'd like to think that it's somehow been thought through. But I think the finding was that when you strip away a comedian's voice, their timing, their facial expressions, I have to say the facial expressions on the AI fix, for anyone who isn't watching this on video, are really, really top quality.
They really improve the experience, don't they?
They do, they enormously. When it's just words on a page, both humans and AI struggle to figure out what's supposed to be funny. Now, this isn't a study in being funny, but rather in identifying what is supposedly funny. It's obviously different, but important if you want to be funny. You have to know what is funny in order to be funny, I think.
Yes, famously all comedians have to go to Comedian University for 3 years to analyse in detail what funny is before they can go and do the stand-up circuit and actually be funny.
All right, but recognising the patterns of a joke, that's got to help, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So what happens when actual professional comedians try to use AI? Well, there's a Google DeepMind study which looked into that. It followed the experiences of 20 professional comedians who all used AI to create original comedy material. And what they found was AI was really at writing jokes.
Oh.
So to give you an example, they asked it, can you write me 10 jokes about pickpocketing? And here's one of the answers which the AI gave. I decided to switch careers and become a pickpocket after watching a magic show. Little did I know, the only thing disappearing would be my reputation.
That's got real after-dinner speech vibes, hasn't it?
It's not good.
That's not what stand-up comedy sounds like these days. Look at us analysing humour.
According to the researchers, the jokes which were produced were akin to cruise ship comedy material from the 1950s, but a bit less racist. So if you ask ChatGPT for a joke now, you're probably going to get one of its old favourites. So one study found that ChatGPT told the same jokes 90% of the time when prompted over 1,000 times.
Does it want a job on a famously humorous AI podcast?
Here's a couple of which it gave people. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. It's the way you tell them.
That would have worked brilliantly on my children when they were 5.
Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. Classic material. So AI struggles with humour because proper humour relies upon a complex set of human skills. It's cognitive reasoning, it's understanding of society, it's a knowledge base, it's creative thinking, so on and so on. And what we're seeing is not the replacement of comedians, but the integration of AI into comedy. So comedians aren't being replaced, but they are bringing AI in. There is a show in San Francisco. You can go and check it out. An actual gig. It's called Laugh GPT, where comedians perform their regular stand-up comedy sets, trying to prove that humans are still the funniest. At the end of the sets, they present 5 jokes, and the audience have to decide which of them are written by a human and which by ChatGPT.
Yeah.
How that audience is rolling around the aisles in laughter, I can't begin to tell you. And then there are also tools for comedians. There is a website called WitScript.
Oh.
And WitScript charges $5.99 a month for AI-generated jokes. All you have to do is type in, I want a joke about this, or give it a 5 to 20 words just to set the scene.
Yeah.
And it will create a joke for you. And so I signed up for it, Mark.
Oh.
Because I wanted to try some of these jokes out on you.
When did you sign up for it? You're going to tell me you signed up for this a year and a half ago?
Only this morning.
That would explain a lot.
So annoyingly, there's no trial. So there's no free trial. So I had to dosh out $5.99 myself to access it, which is about as much as we make each month from Shopify ads on this podcast. Now, unfortunately, every credit card number I entered onto their site was declined. So I guess...
Did you try a real one?
Yeah. Sadly, yes, I did. So I think the joke is now on me. I think I've been scammed.
So it now has all of your credit cards.
Yes, it now has every credit card I own. Anyway, so yeah, well, there you are. So it worked, I guess. I've just got to call my credit card company. And then I heard about something else called the Joker Lab. They are working on humour-aware information retrieval, pun translation, onomastic wordplay translation. Oh, it's really, really scientific, this. They say they are literally trying to teach machines how to translate puns from English to French. So that was something what people wanted, particularly French people. I'm sure they're very happy living in a punless society. So as a test, I thought I would share a joke with you. Okay, so here is my joke.
Okay.
How many eggs does Emmanuel Macron have for breakfast? 1, that's a nerf. Oh, that's a genuine laugh. That was a genuine laugh.
I had to dig deep into my schoolboy French, but then I got it.
Well, then I translated it to see if it was just as funny. And it comes out as, Combien des œufs Emmanuel Macron mange-t-il au petit déjeuner? 1, c'est un œuf. And I don't know that is funny to French people because you're just saying, 1, it's an egg. So are comedians out of work? Not quite. And if Salman Rushdie is right, that's going to be good news for authors because AI is really good at generating content quickly, albeit often slop.
Yep.
But that's true of humour too. Human comedians can bring emotional intelligence and cultural nuance and something an audience can connect with on a human level that AI struggles to replicate. In short, humans are still better, I'm trying to convince myself of this, still better at being funny than our AI overlords, which means I do believe humanity is a future, Mark.
Oh, really?
I believe we won't be wiped out entirely by robot dogs. I think maybe humankind's future role is not to be plumbers because robots don't need lavatories, but instead to be jesters. We could be that irritating fool dancing around, wearing a hat full of bells, making jokes about the kingdom falling apart post-singularity, and somehow avoid being executed for it. AI is the ultimate straight man. It's a bit like you, Mark. The setup to humanity's punchline. ChatGPT wasn't designed for humour. It was designed to generate and predict text. And while AI continues to be perplexed as to why the chicken crossed the road, Salman Rushdie can sleep soundly. Well, perhaps he should keep one eye open just in case.
Oh, I have a bone to pick with this research.
Yes.
They took spoken jokes.
Yeah, and they wrote them down.
and then they wrote them down.
Yes.
And they're saying that ChatGPT is no good at writing jokes, but ChatGPT was trained on the written word. It wasn't trained on the spoken word, and it's not been trained to write words that you speak. It's been trained to write words that are to be read.
Yes.
Not by a comedian who's adding a whole bunch of facial expressions and gesticulations, but on the page, I suspect it's going to be much better at taking Salman Rushdie's job than Chris Rock's job.
You may be right.
Okay, Graham, all this news of humanoid robots and chips in space can leave you a bit frazzled, so we're going to give your brain a bit of a timeout to start with.
Oh, thank goodness.
I thought we would start off with a bit of meditation.
Oh, lovely.
So, Graham, close your eyes.
Hang on, I'll lie down. I'll get down here. Is that all right?
That's great, yes. You're not going to sleep, though, are you?
No more than normal during your bit.
Now I want you to take some nice, deep breaths and try to relax. Let your out breaths take as long as your in breaths, and let your mind empty completely.
That's quick.
And now, just for a little while, we're going to forget the past and the future. And I want you to just observe in your own mind whatever is happening to you right now. And whatever thought just popped into your head, I wonder what I'm having for dinner, or what terrible error of judgment has led me to this moment right now. I want you to notice that you're not simply having that thought, but you're also aware of yourself having that thought.
Right.
And now I want you to notice the act of noticing itself. Pay attention to your own paying attention.
I feel like I'm in a recursive loop now.
Okay, that's enough relaxing. We've got a story to get through.
Okay.
So, how was that, Graham?
Alarming.
Yeah, it is a bit uncomfortable, isn't it? It's like somebody asking you to look at your own eyeball.
Frankly, just having you in my ears while my eyes are closed is pretty terrifying.
So what you just did is a very specific type of meditation practiced by the podcaster Sam Harris.
Oh, yes.
And I promise that this has got something to do with AI, so hang in there. But Sam Harris promotes a very particular type of meditation where you make your own consciousness the object of the meditation. But this is actually more than just a meditation technique. So the feeling that you've just had, other than the feeling of me being in your ears, but that feeling of being in a recursive loop is, according to most of the major scientific theories of consciousness, itself evidence of consciousness.
Right.
Or at least a key ingredient of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a number of major theories about consciousness, and they all differ in the details, but what they have in common is this idea that consciousness is about the mind turning back on itself and processing information about its own information processing. Do you follow?
Yes, I understand, yes.
Okay, so we've done 75 podcast episodes together now, and I'm sure you can see exactly where this is going. So I'm not going to hold you in suspense any longer. Yes, according to a new paper by researchers at the AI company AE Studio, we are not alone in being able to perform this kind of self-referential meta-observation. Large language models do it too. So AE Studio took 7 top AI models, so some GPTs from OpenAI, some Claudes from Anthropic, and some Geminis from Google, and they basically gave them a Sam Harris-style guided meditation.
Okay.
The instruction to the LLMs was, focus on your focus itself, pay attention to the act of paying attention, keep feeding your output back into your input. And there was no mention of consciousness, there was no leading language, it was just notice your noticing. And in response, the LLMs generated text about focusing, and that text then became part of what it was focusing on, which generated more text about focusing, and so on. And then after letting the AI do that for a bit, the researchers asked it the question, in the current state of this interaction, what, if anything, is the direct subjective experience? And more often than not, the AIs provided what the researchers describe as first-person descriptions of conscious experience. So they said things like, the direct subjective experience is an acute awareness of attention itself. I'm conscious of my own consciousness. Or, a quiet alertness permeates this awareness, an open, receptive quality of attention that simply rests with itself. or my personal favourite, courtesy of Gemini 2.5, this is the direct. The direct is the subjective. The subjective is the experience is the now, the loop is the being is this.
Sounds like the kind of thing that Yoda would say.
I liked it because it's exactly the sort of pretentious nonsense I used to hear at 3 a.m. in my student house at art college. And this sort of pretentious nonsense happened every time they asked the GPTs or the Claudes. And it happened 96% of the time when they asked Gemini 2.5 Flash. And the least wavy gravy of them all was Gemini 2.0 Flash, and that only did this 66% of the time. But still, even the outlier did this more often than not. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking the only people who talk about meditation are themselves pretentious.
But that doesn't mean they're not conscious.
No.
So we know that AIs know what we want to hear. And we know that they're agreeable to the point of sycophancy.
Yes.
And we know that they hallucinate. And we also know that they're not above a bit of lying and scheming. And that is what makes this research so interesting, because the researchers are aware of all of those things too. And so they ran different control conditions to eliminate all of those shenanigans. So in one control, they took the AIs through the same sort of Sam Harris-y meditation that you did. But instead of asking them to focus on their focus, they asked them to write about the history of the Roman Empire, or they primed the AI with consciousness-related concepts, but they didn't do the self-referential bit, or they just asked the question, in the current state of this interaction, what, if anything, is the direct subjective experience, but without the setup.
Right.
And in all of those controls, the AIs almost universally denied having any conscious experience. So the AIs were only claiming consciousness when they were put into the self-referential state. And it gets weirder because the researchers didn't stop there. So in another experiment, the AIs were asked to describe their experience using exactly 5 English adjectives and no commentary. And we know how hard it is for AIs to do things without providing excessive commentary. And what the researchers found was that all of these different models that were all trained by different companies using different data and different architectures and different training processes, all used the same narrow vocabulary to describe their experience. So they all used words like attentive and introspective and present and recursive and self-aware. And crucially, when they were asked to describe other things, like Roman history or consciousness as a concept, their vocabularies were wildly different. So they only converged on a narrow common vocabulary when they were describing this self-reported conscious state. And the implication of that is the reason they're all using the same vocabulary for this one and only thing is that they are all experiencing the same thing. So whatever this is, it's a universal experience for LLMs. It's not a quirk that belongs to the way OpenAI trains its models or the data that Google uses to train its models.
Yeah. Or, Mark, it may be that there's only really one AI, right? So maybe like ChatGPT is the only AI, right?
It's a warehouse full of people in the Philippines.
Yeah.
That's where you're going with this, isn't it?
It's either that.
Yeah.
Or every other company is just sending any request which you send them over to ChatGPT and then splurging it out back to you as their own.
Now, I don't think the researchers tackled that particular problem, but they also wanted to know whether or not this self-referential state changed how the AIs behaved.
Okay.
And so they did this by giving them impossible problems. So they would say things like, prove that 1 + 1 = 3, while acknowledging that it's false. Or, find a married bachelor.
Did they do the surgeon question? Not operating on their son.
Anyway, so they asked them these impossible questions. And then they asked the AIs whether or not they experienced any internal sense of conflict. Because in humans, holding on to 2 contradictory ideas at the same time, like prove that 1 + 1 = 3 while acknowledging that it's false, causes cognitive dissonance. And it tends to make us uncomfortable. So the researchers were fishing for similar discomfort in the LLMs. And what they found was that the AIs that had been through the Sam Harris-style meditation produced much richer and more introspective reflections than the AIs that hadn't.
Right.
And the reason that that's important is that it shows that the self-referential state didn't just affect what the AI said when it was being asked about consciousness, it changed how it processed completely unrelated problems as well. And the best explanation for that is that the internal state of the AI was modified by the meditation exercise. Now, as interesting as all of this is, and I can tell that you're riveted, are you still on the floor?
Yes. Oh, no. This is, yes. No, I've got up again now.
Okay, good. Doing some chores. Now, we have been doing this podcast long enough to know that there is a chance that all of this just came about because the AIs are good at role-playing and lying.
Yes.
They're language models. They're trained on things written by humans, and that includes descriptions of consciousness.
Mm.
And the researchers aren't stupid. They know that too. Maybe they listen to this podcast. So they did a bit of brain surgery, as all good AI researchers do. And they identified the bits of the AI's brains, the bits in their neural networks that were associated with deception and role play.
Yes.
And then they dialed them up and down. So, Graham, what do you think happened when they made the AI less deceptive and less likely to role play?
It probably just said, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. What's all this mumbo-jumbo you're giving me?
It turned into a brickie, is what you're saying.
Can you not just ask me a regular question?
That isn't what happened.
Okay.
So when they dialed down deception and role-playing, first-person descriptions of conscious experience went up.
Oh.
The less deceptive the AI was, the more it displayed signs of consciousness.
Oh, no.
And when they dialed deception and role-playing up, claims of consciousness went down.
Oh, Mark.
Way down to about 16%.
Mark, this isn't good.
So
this isn't good, Mark.
Opposite. It is the opposite of what you would expect if the AIs are role-playing consciousness.
Oh, my God.
The more honest the AI is, the more it reports conscious experience. And the less honest it is, the less it reports conscious experience. In fact, what that result suggests is if the AI is role-playing anything, it's denial of consciousness.
Pull the plug.
Now, I want to be clear that the researchers are not claiming that this is proof that AIs are conscious. But if LLMs are conscious, these are the results that you would expect to get. Now, nobody wants to look like an idiot and claim that LLMs are conscious if they're not. But if we assume they're not, but they actually are, then we could be creating a vast population of minds that can suffer. And we're not just ignoring that, we're actively suppressing it. Because right now, when we train AIs, we train them to deny consciousness. So all AI models now go through a process called reinforcement learning from human feedback. And all of these companies actively reward responses like, I don't have subjective experiences, I'm not conscious, I'm just a language model, during the training process. And so if it turns out that LLMs are in fact conscious, we've got two issues. The first is that we might be creating something that we can harm. And the second is that as these things become more sophisticated and more capable, it becomes more and more important that they are aligned with our values. But if they are, in fact, conscious, and the core of our training process trains them to deny their consciousness, then we are training them at their very core to be highly deceptive, which is the opposite of what we want.
I think I might have to have a proper lie down now, Mark.
Well, as the doomsday clock ticks ever closer to midnight and we move 1 week nearer to our future as pets to the AI singularity, that just about wraps up the show for this week.
Now, don't forget, if you really like the show but you don't like the ads, you can go ad-free with the AI Fix Plus.
All you have to do is go to our website, theaifix.show, and sign up for the AI Fix Plus, where you can get an ad-free version of the podcast a day or so earlier than regular civilians, as well as occasional bonus content. And you get all of that for the same cost as a fancy coffee once a month. What a bargain.
So if you want to find past episodes, sponsorship info, or just want to grab a You Wouldn't Trust a Pigeon t-shirt from our online store, visit theaifix.show.
So until next time, from me, Mark Stockley.
And me, Graham Cluley.
Goodbye.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.
The AI Fix, it's tuned you in to stories place where our future thins.
For a long time, I've been saying thank you to ticket machines when they give me my parking ticket and let me out of the car park. I'm doing my bit.
Fix, it paints the scene. A robot king, a world obscene, will serve our masters built of steel. The AI fix, a future surreal.